Trying to be more financially responsible. Wife pissed about it. Could anyone elaborate why? So my wife and I spend an absurd amount of money in comparison to what we make. We're never going into debt, but we're never able to get ahead. We are young with young children, so we've had our fair share of surviving there for a bit. However, we are absolutely in a position now to start saving and investing. However, I know that between her and I we both spend a lot of money on stupid stuff. My wife likes to go out to eat almost daily, and I like to buy video games and other stuff like that. So I figured it's time, for the sake of the family, to put a budget on ourselves. I said, well, how about we have $250 a month each to slot for random spending? We'll track it in a spreadsheet together and hold each other accountable. She was furious. Without going into too much detail about things, she was saying that I'm treating her like a child, to which I mentioned that I'm doing this too, knowing that I also spend like a madman. I don't really understand why she's so resistant to cutting back on our spending, when we haven't been able to make any additional headway into things like our kids' college fund. Edit everyone that is saying that I approached this as this is what we are doing going forward are wrong. I brought a potential method to the table and my wife shot down any aspect of budgeting or planning. We've been depending on credit cards and dipped into our kids' college fund because we haven't been able to get ahead. One thing my wife and I did last year to cut down on the expense of dining out was basically the envelope method. We took out a set amount each week to use for dining out. If we ran out time to cook at home, if we had money left over, we put it in a jar to be spent on Christmas. The Christmas fund helped take a ton of financial stress out of the holidays. Nobody likes to be told what to do. Maybe she'll come around once she's had time to think it over? Could you together sit down with a financial advisor? Someone to put into perspective how much you'd need for retirement with your current incomes and spending habits? Make her realize that having no money left over after paychecks isn't planning for the future? You two are not on the same page. You need to either get on the same page so things change or this isn't going to work. I'm guessing your wife is upset because you came up with financial changes on your own. Rather than getting her buy-in first, she might feel controlled or infantilized to be told she has to go from it sounds like unlimited spending to an allowance. It might help to sit down with your wife. Ask her if she wants to work on saving more, and come up with some ideas together. I had this same exact situation. My wife had taken care of finances while I worked through college and beyond. Last year I told her I was planning to be more involved and she was absolutely livid. Insisted I didn't trust her and that I blamed her for debt we've accrued, etc. It took many talks to convince her that me being involved was a good for the family and not because of trust issues or anything. At times she's still a little hesitant, but with my input we've been able to better manage bills and work on some debt. She might just be used to spending however much she wants, and now you putting a limit on it bothers her. She uses money like therapy. It makes her happy. She feels independent. She is full of stories for her friends about the new restaurant she's tried or her new shoes. Now all those stories come to a halt. Her friends will notice. They will start to ask, have you been to that new restaurant on Main? It's amazing, and she will feel embarrassed and poor. Cutting back on dining out means more meal prep at home, which is an extra chore. Who is going to do the extra shopping and cooking to replace dining out? Cutting back dining out expenses and replacing that seems way different than shifting entertainment spending, which might be part of her reaction. The time and effort of making a nice salad or making a hamburger and fries compared to buying one from a restaurant versus watching Netflix instead of playing a new game seems a sacrifice on a way. Different level. NAHHHH dipping into your young children's college funds? Red flag. I'm not saying you're wrong for this plan, but I think the issue stems from the fact that you decided it by yourself without discussing it with her. It probably felt like a 0 to 100 approach to her. Maybe try again, clean slate, and come up with a plan together for how you'd like to tackle budgeting and finances in the household. Her having more of an input about this topic may make her more receptive to trying it. Probably because you didn't bother to discuss anything before getting to the end point of "and now we only spend this much." You need to start from step 1, agreeing we need to make stable financial plans and actually involve her in every step of the discussion right through to let's talk about what is a reasonable amount to budget for fun money. Just declaring your conclusions is stupid, and you may now struggle to get this plan off the ground at all. Money is power. Money is status. Money is freedom. Of course, MOEY in the bank is the right choice, but it lacks the instant gratification that she clearly craves. One thing that is apparent to me: does she do most of the shopping? If she does, then a lot of the burden of tracking is suddenly dropped on her. Maybe she's worried that you're gonna hold her to a higher standard? IDK either of you, but maybe if you stick to it for a little bit, she'll see that it's not a personal attack. You are going to have a prize at the end of the rainbow for her to understand fully. You are going to have to make a chart showing what the money saved could go toward. Like a trip to Hawaii? New furniture? College fund? To save money with small children, I always shopped at the second-hand store for clothing, and no one ever knew. Buying new clothes for a child to wear 2-3 months is money thrown away. Making home dinners is a big savings also. You need to give her an incentive is the best way to say it. It sounds like you told her what you decided you both were going to do instead of discussing it and hearing her feedback. The budgeting was fine. Your approach may have been more dictatorial than collaborative, and that is where it may have gone wrong. I mean, if you didn't discuss it with her first and come up with a joint plan, it's possible she is upset you didn't talk to her about it first. And is this specifically my money, her money, or is this your combined savings? Honestly, it's just best to talk to her about it and come up with a financial plan together. Include her in the idea. You brought her a whole idea and plan to execute, and she may have felt blindsided by that. Take what you make, take what she makes. Pay a percentage of the household bills proportionate to income. The rest is your money to do with as you please. Same for her. Because we like spending and it's a hard transition, loudly crying, it's like having withdrawals. You have to suddenly be mindful, and it's not like she's a willing participant. You can't force someone to realize their issues, you can just point it out and move on. But good for you, I hope you do great and the world treats you good, 'cause that's a very hard goal. Nowadays, smiling face with terror. She's most likely upset because it was you who decided on this method, not the both of you. I'd also be pretty upset if my partner came up to me and told me how we were both going to be spending the money from now on. Sit down with her and start a discussion about both of your spending, and come up with a way to cut back and a method to start saving together. Involve her in this decision and the planning that needs to come of it. Sometimes people are in denial of it being an issue before you set it in place. Why not make a spreadsheet and track your expenses for an entire month? Maybe when she sees in writing that she's spent $500 in 1 month eating out, she'll realize, whoa. To do this, it's best to use your debit or credit for all charges, and then at least weekly bucket each item into a category.